Hello, new faculty. This is Dr. Jennifer Maxfield DiCarlo. I'm one of the program directors in the Masters of Counseling program in our School of Psychology. I'm going to be walking you through the faculty expectations portion of Module 2. The point of this little presentation is just to make sure that you're aware of all of the faculty expectations and what your performance evaluation will be, what criteria we will use to evaluate your performance in the course rooms. On our course contracts, all of the faculty requirements are specified. So be sure that when you receive a course contract asking if you're willing to teach a course, that you read through those contracts, because again, all of the requirements are listed right there on the contract, along with a checklist that you will also receive that tells you exactly what you need to do prior to a course starting so that you can have everything in order for when the students are loaded into the course room. So I want to spend just a few moments talking about these requirements that are outlined on the current course contracts. The idea here is that many of these requirements go crossover online and on ground, but we'll discuss a good portion of things that need to happen in the online D2L course rooms. The most important piece is to be communicating with students and allowing them to understand when and how they can communicate with you. So we request that faculty post office hours. And what that means is if you're a virtual employee, post a day and time, a 2-hour period where students could call you and they can actually you would be available to answer the phone and they could get questions answered immediately. If you're on ground, you can post hours that you would be available before or after class and where you could meet, a phone number so that they could call and make an appointment with you. But we need to make sure that students are aware that we have office hours even if they're virtual, and when, what day of the week and what time we're available to talk with them about concerns or questions or struggles, challenges they might be having in their courses. The requirement that we have for participation in the course room is a very quantitative assessment of how many times faculty have posted and things like that. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the quantitative measures that we're looking for, but also throughout give you a little bit more information on some of the qualitative issues that we have and things that we're looking for. And in Module 4, you will also be looking at best practices for adult learning, and those will sort of tie into some of the requirements that we're looking for our faculty to create an environment conducive to learning for our adult learners. In the online course room, it is expected that faculty will be in the discussion threads at least 3 times per week. So we want to look and see that you have actually posted something in the discussion threads on 3 separate days per week. One of the hang-ups that oftentimes faculty have is they say, well, I was in a discussion thread 3 times this week. But what we're looking for is in each discussion thread, in order to facilitate a real depth of discussion and looking at any content area, we want you to be in each discussion. So if there's 2 discussions in a week, we want you to be in each discussion at least 3 times that week. When you're making discussion postings, we really are looking for quality. It's not good enough to go in and say, great job on your discussion, keep up the good work, or that was very well done, and not give any other feedback. So the discussion threads are really, we want you to be doing at least 3 sentences in half of your postings, and asking follow-up questions, offering examples, giving students additional resources, maybe an article, maybe a YouTube video, asking them additional questions and maybe pointing out something that they said in their discussion posting, responding to that, and then adding on to that. So at least half of the discussion postings need to be on at least 3 sentences in length. Likewise, we would require that at least half of the discussion postings are including a direct reference to the textbook or additional readings. The discussion threads are really your opportunity to show the students that you're an expert in this field. So the hope is that in at least half of the discussion postings that you make, you would offer them additional resources. Maybe if they didn't quite understand how the textbook was describing a concept, you could give them another resource to help them understand the concept. Or maybe there's a piece in the textbook that they maybe missed, and you say you can refer them back to the textbook and say, take a look at this page again and tell me what you think about this. So referencing referring the students back to the textbook or reading in at least half of your discussion posts in each thread. Likewise, many of our students come to MACU because they're interested in integrating their spiritual beliefs and their Christian values into their education. So it's really important for us to be tying that thread throughout all of the concepts that they're learning in each course. So we require that at least one discussion posting per week reference the Bible or some sort of biblical truth. Oftentimes I'll do this by posting a word of encouragement or a scripture, something, a devotional in the course room, or if there's a scripture or a biblical truth that directly relates to the concept area that we're discussing in a discussion thread, then I will tie that in as well. But the requirement is that at least one posting each week will have a reference to a biblical concept or truth. Likewise, it's really important for our faculty to be engaging the students, and to do that, we need to make sure that we are following up on different discussion postings with many students. We're not requiring that you respond to every single student because we don't want you to dominate the course room, but what we want you to do is be engaging the students. So in order to do that, we have the requirement that you must respond in each discussion thread to at least 1/3 of the number of students enrolled in the course. So if there are 12 students in the course, then that means that you would have to respond to 4 discussion postings in each discussion thread each week. This is really important, and the other piece of this is that if you have a very small class, the minimum number of postings that you could do would be 4. So whichever is higher is the number you need to go with. So at least 4, but we would require that you would respond to at least 1/3 of the number of students that are enrolled in the course. The next piece is to look at our grading. We will look and evaluate your performance based on your feedback that you're giving students on their assignments and projects. So it's very, very important that we're giving substantial feedback. One thing that often I will see is that faculty will say, great job on this, you met all the criteria in the rubrics. Well, that's not really very helpful to the student. So what we want to do is really sandwich our comments, tell them what they did well, give them the strengths of how they did on that assignment, tell them what areas they have for improvement and how they could improve them. Maybe reference the textbook, offer them some additional resources that might help them understand the assignment a little bit better and the concepts within that assignment, and then end your comments on a positive note. So we're sandwiching in the feedback. That feedback needs to be given within 5 days for all written assignments. This is really important because that gives a student the opportunity to read the feedback that they received in 1 week and incorporate that feedback into the following week's assignment. So grading for each weekly assignment needs to be submitted within 5 days and needs to be substantial feedback, referencing the textbook, maybe offering the student some encouragement, some other additional resources, and be professional and personal and specific to the student. When the course ends, the final grades for the course are to be submitted to the My Portal within 7 days of the course ending. This is really important as students are moving on to their next course, so that we need to get those grades finalized for your course within 7 days of the course ending. Another very, very important piece is attendance. Our students' financial aid is directly related to our taking attendance in the first 2 weeks of the course. So it is required, both on ground and online, that we take attendance in week 1 and in week 2. After that, if you'd like to continue to take attendance, you absolutely can, but for financial aid purposes, we must have you take attendance in the first 2 weeks. If you fail to take attendance in the first 2 weeks, students' financial aid may suffer and they may not receive their financial aid checks to pay for school. So this is an absolute necessity. It's so important that when we set up our course rooms, when you look at that checklist that you receive when you sign a contract, it says right in there that before the course starts, you will set up the first 2 weeks of attendance and post a welcome note that discusses your office hours, introduces who you are to the students. Absolutely important to make sure that we take attendance in the first 2 weeks, and that attendance should be taken within 24 hours of that the week ending. So week 1 ends on Monday. By midnight on Tuesday, we should have taken attendance. Very important to make sure that happens. Another requirement is that each school has monthly faculty meetings. It's really important that you attend those monthly faculty meetings because that is a forum for which you'll be able to, one, connect with other instructors, two, get information on changing policies and things that are happening around the university. So it's very, very important that you meet those, attend those faculty meetings. And lastly, for the on-ground requirements, I just want to put this out there as well, is that if for some reason you're going to be late to the course, your class starts at 6 o'clock and there's an emergency, you should call the on-call CAGS person. The number is listed here for you to advise them of when you expect to arrive. That way they can go to your course room, make sure that your students are aware that you're on your way. Class begins at 6 and it ends at 10. There's no exceptions to this rule. We absolutely need to be teaching for that period of time with a break in the middle there if you need to have a stretch break. But there's no early dismissal. It's very important for accreditation purposes that our courses are running from during the times that they are listed, so from 6 to 10. Engagement in the on-ground course room is pretty much the same as what we expect for online discussion postings. We expect that you're asking students questions, that you're engaging them in the material, that you're offering part of your professional expertise to them. And we understand that in class, instructional methods are going to all be different, and we encourage you to not just give a 4-hour lecture, but to have group exercises and have variety, have videos, have lots of different ways of teaching our students that will engage them in the actual learning process. This is just a quick overview of the course contracts. Very important that you're aware of this because, again, this is how we will evaluate your performance in the course room and then give you feedback on what's going well and what's maybe needs some improvement. So be certain that each time you sign a contract, you know what you're signing and what's expected of you for that particular course. Thanks so much.